guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoilery discussion on Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. As I said, this video will have spoilers in it, so if you haven't read this book, go ahead and check out my spoiler-free review, which will be linked on the screen. So I didn't hint at too much in my spoiler-free review because I felt like a lot of things that I wanted to talk about would technically be spoilers for how some of these characters ended up, but let's just talk about the injustice that was Marcella. I'm labeling this as a discussion because it's a 3.5 star, but honestly, it's going to feel more gripey, and if you're not here for that, I'm sorry, it's happening. Marcella had so much potential, and so much potential for being such a great character, except she was used as a plot device to get Eli and Victor back together in the same spot. That was her entire purpose. Honestly. And I'm just like, I could feel that's what was happening. Like, I could feel that you were going to build this character up who's basically like put everything together and formulate everything so that she could be basically unstoppable, and you're still going to have Eli be able to like kill her. That's exactly what happened. Like, I knew it was just like the series revolves around Victor and Eli and their dynamic, which I really enjoy their dynamic. But how dare you use this really interesting and potentially complex female character to just bring them together. I'm so angry about it. I really loved her power of being able to ruin things, like the whole like, as she's dying, I will ruin you. I was like, okay, what is her power gonna be? It's gonna be so cool. So I enjoyed her, but again, like, she just basically turned really tropey, and I feel like V.E. Schwab does this with some of her female characters. Like, she's very proud of herself and her writing of female characters, but it's not always good, and she frequently doesn't treat them well. So I'm just like, don't be so proud of yourself when, like, this is a trend that you do. And not that every character has to be treated well, because I know some people are going to say that. Like, oh, no one bitches when, like, a male character is treated poorly. No one's... That's not the point here. The point is you can't be like, I support strong characters and strong female characters, and then treat them horribly all the time. It doesn't work. And use them as plot devices and not fully fleshed female characters. I mean, from the get-go, I was a little bit mad about this because we have her with the trope of, like, the woman scorned, which I get. And she even addresses, like, you kind of, like, almost break that, like, third wall. Like, you tell the audience, like, I know this is the woman scorned trope and she knows this and whatever. But I also feel like this could have been better. So I really liked the relationship between her and her husband, like, originally when they first got together, and how she was pulling some of the strings there. I think you could have made this where they were working together and maybe he was killed, like we have like a fridged husband, which like turns the trope around. Something like that. Instead, like, I have actually enjoyed recently some books that have these like strong power villain couples. I'm thinking of the Queens of Innisleer here. And I would have loved that, and then you would have kind of eliminated this like scorned woman trope where she's so single-minded. And again, a lot of these other characters are single-minded on like vengeance and everything else. But where she's so like focused on that, I just feel like you didn't give her enough room to be fully fleshed out. And again, I could tell, like, from about a third of the way in, I could tell I was like, she's just going to be used to lead those two characters together. And then as soon as she does that and serves that purpose, she's dead. And also, like, I've talked about this with Sarah Jane because Sarah Jane and I were reading this around the same time. It was like an unintentional buddy read. We just hear all the time that Eli's so great at killing EOs, but it's just because Eli can heal. Like, what makes him so good about killing EOs? Like, we just know that we've been told that he's killed so many of them, and he's, you know, like this serial killer of EOs, and he tells her as he's killing her, like, you're not even the most powerful EO I've killed, blah, blah, blah. We don't actually see how he learns that. Like, you're a preacher's son. How did you learn to just be like this, like, mass killer? Like, I believe it in a way, but I'm also like, I don't, because you've never really shown me that. Like, why is he this huge, formidable villain when he shouldn't have the, like, skills that he has when his ability is just to heal? Which is fine, but, like, Wolverine wouldn't be as cool with just his healing ability. You have to have the, like, the knives, you know? So, why? So with all that, and with Marcella being a device, I feel like all of the characters were really plot devices. We have too much focus on other characters. I also feel like, I know the series is called the Villains, like, series, but I feel like we have too many villains in this. Like, you have to have some light there, and I guess the light there is, like, Mitch and Sydney, sort of. But, like, you still don't even get enough focus on them. You just have all these characters being villains. You have the Doctor, you have Marcella, you have the, like, the task force and some of the people on the task force that are taking, you know, the EOs down. You have June. Like, everyone's bad. And I get, like, everyone being morally gray, but there's certain things, like, as we get more characters, a lot of them aren't particularly likable. I know they're not really supposed to be, but, like, Victor Vale as a sociopath is still likable. And he's really well done. And Eli even, I don't like Eli, but like Eli is a well done complex character. Then you have these other characters that don't really have that. And you spend a lot of this book focusing on them. So I feel very much like this is repeating the pattern of the second book in the Darker Shade of Magic series, where you have all this focus on like new characters and all these things and just getting the characters to a certain point, and that was the whole point of that book. And I didn't like that book. So I feel like this follows that same kind of formula again. I'm like, why are you doing this? And I mentioned in my review the like found family that we have with like Sydney, Mitch, and Victor, especially, that we got solidified in book 1. And I wanted more of that in this book, and there were some really good snippets, like when you had Victor waiting for her to get home, and when he like followed her to make sure she was safe, and all of that stuff, and that she chooses to be with them even though June is like trying to take her away, and all of that. But it's still just not enough, because it's like, of the second book, I wanted more time with them, and instead we get all these other things and all these other characters, and I just like didn't care that much, because I could feel very early on that they're just plot devices for these main characters anyway. So again, like I said in my review, this felt so messy and disjointed because of all those characters, because of them always being plot devices and all that stuff. And although we had the, you know, skipping back and forth in time like we had in Vicious, Vicious was so focused and just so like clean, and everything had a purpose, and everything felt important, and everything, you know, came together. This felt like much more jumbled, and like they were wasting time and wasting my time, when Vicious was so like perfect in structure and everything else. And with all that being said, knowing that everything was leading up to like Victor and Eli getting, you know, back together in the same spot, the ending felt very anticlimactic. We have all this buildup to Marcella having this, like, you know, trio to make her basically unstoppable, and then it's just like, Eli comes and it's just abolished. Eli and Victor abolish it, and whatever. It's just like, what? And then just all the, like, unresolved threads, which again, is probably going to be because there's a third book, and I'm just like, I didn't need anything beyond Vicious. I didn't. I was fine. Like, I'm okay reading these books, but I was okay with the ending of Vicious as it was. And now we're adding to things. I'm just like, we don't need to. I don't want you to. So we have Victor's illness not quite being resolved, and the doctor with this like villainous doctor, you know, and his medication and whatever, and that being like sort of, you know, it sort of feels like X-Men, where you have like the vaccine to like take away powers. Like, it feels very much like that, which I'm like, okay, I've seen that, whatever. Okay, I want Victor to get better, but like, at what cost? And also, the whole build-up so that Marcella died, whatever, and all of that just so that Eli could die. Which he's probably not even really dead, because we have this whole scene where his body's being put in the thing at like the task force, so you know he's gonna come back, and I'm just like, I'm really sick of just like, already like Eli and Victor killing each other, and like what is gonna be the resolve there. All of that, like, and again, you build him up to be this like unstoppable force, and you still have him die. I'm tired by it. I love the Victor-Eli dynamic a lot, but having that be like the only focus to the detriment of other characters who could be much more fleshed out makes me mad. And also because the climax was just like, okay, all that for that, just to get them in one spot and have them, whatever. And also we have Rios as an EO, one of the people that's on the task force. I'm sure that's not going to be quite resolved, and blah, blah, blah. Sydney's story I would have liked to have seen more of as well, because I really enjoy her whole thing of, you know, she's aging very slowly. She's a teenager stuck in a child's body. She still has Serena's bones, but she doesn't want to bring her back, but she might want to bring her back. And she's like figuring out her power and how to fix things. And I love death magic, so I'm all about that. And then we have the last thing with June, which again, we focus this whole book around Marcella for the most part. Like, we have Marcella being this main focus, only to be a plot device that dies. And we have June as this like last chapter, you know, who she is, whatever. I almost get this, I don't know if I'm making this up in my head. I said in Vicious, I was always like, why is Angie never brought up again? And Angie gets brought up again in here as the only person that Victor ever loved, which I'm like, loved? Victor, what? So that was just like, no, you liked the attention from her, you didn't love her, what? Okay. But I feel like I went back and Angie had like copper curls, and June's like real body has like strawberry hair or something, I want to say, and freckles. So I'm kind of like, is this like an Angie connection thing? What is it about her body? Someone never being able to hurt me again. Is this an Angie thing? Is that Angie? I don't know. I don't think so, because then she would have known who Victor was. I think. But I still am like, what is going on with June, and why did we not focus more on her if she's going to be so important? You know, we just focused only on Marcella. Like, you could have split it up a bit more. And again, there's this whole book being a meandering thing to get you to a certain point, and I guess to set you up for potentially book 3 as a middle book kind of syndrome. Still enjoyable, like I said. 3.5, but I just found it really disappointing, and I thought it would probably be because I just love Vicious so much, and again, I've had this trajectory with V.E. Schwab that I talked about in my review. So if you haven't heard my history with V.E. Schwab, watch the beginning of my review where I talk about, like, being more disappointed in her later works and loving her earlier stuff. So, yeah, this felt disappointing, anticlimactic, and messy in comparison to Vicious, which was, like, almost perfect for me. So comment down below and let me know your thoughts on Vengeful. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.